Hey guys and girls, welcome to southern Oklahoma on a cold, brutal Sunday afternoon. You know, the temperature is really not that bad at all. It only got down to 24 degrees last night, which is the warmest night we've had in the last 2 or 3. We had a couple of days that broke this. This would have been about an 8 or 9 or 10 day scale of temperatures below freezing, but we had a couple of days got up in to 50s. I think it got up to 57 or 58 the second day of that. Then they dropped right down, and we've had about 3 days below freezing again, you know, but 3 days is only about 60 or 70 hours, I guess, total it hit in that. It's well over 100 hours on that one last week, but we had to drip our faucets again. Oklahoma City, of all places, a little bitty city like Oklahoma City, asked people, the Oklahoma City Water Department came out and said, we're not telling you not to drip your faucets, but we're running out of water. So many people are dripping their faucets, and we don't have enough water. So I'm thinking, gosh, if we're in Oklahoma City, and you don't have enough water in January, what are you going to do in July and August and June and all those months in the summertime? And it just shows that how close we're living from an environmental standpoint. And all of what they are doing right now to destroy the environment, like these big windmills that's destroying thousands and thousands of birds, millions of birds and thousands of acres of land. These solar panels that they even got them in Oklahoma, where you see a big 200 or 300 acre field and everything's destroyed. It's just total solar powers out there and all the habitat that goes with that. But anyway, I want to get off of all that right there. But and I think about up north there, they can't charge those electric cars right now because it's cold, and they're standing 3 or 4 hours in line in the cold, real cold, dangerously cold, and they can't their cars won't run. They can't even run their heaters or anything because they can't get their charge. And some of them, when they stood in line 2 or 3 hours, they get up to a charger, and the charger's out of service. And I know we back in the, not too long ago, several years ago now, I guess it's been, but several years ago we had to stand in line for hours to get gasoline. So you know it could go both ways, obviously, but that's why we need it all. We need it all. It's what we need here in America. But except them stinking windmills, I hate those windmills. Golly, they're destroying the environment here in our country and killing millions of birds at the same time. But that's not what I really wanted to talk about. I don't even know why I brought all that. But, you know, we're going to have some freezing rain in here starting after a while. It's going to be freezing overnight. Tomorrow's going to be dangerous in the highways here in Oklahoma. I hope a lot of you don't have to go to work early, or I hope a lot of you don't have to go to work at all. And maybe a lot of the schools will be off, so the school kids won't have to get out in the dangerous, slick highways. And we're supposed to be zeroed in here in southern Oklahoma. We're going to have about they say like a ½ inch of ice, which is bad. We'll probably lose a lot of big limbs on our pecan trees, and may lose some complete pecan trees. And these are old granddaddy pecan trees that we really hate to lose them. We really hate to lose them, but it happens every time we have an ice storm. Fortunately, we have very few ice storms here in southern Oklahoma. But when that ice storm goes away, and it's warmed up throughout the day, it got down to 24, it's up to 32 now. I think it's supposed to get maybe a degree or two warmer as the day goes on, and then it's going to drop back down. And the rain is going to happen when the water gets below air gets below freezing, and that water will turn into ice. That rainwater will turn into ice, and so we'll have it until tomorrow. But then we're supposed to have days getting in the 50s for 4 or 5 days in a row. And the first 2 or 3 days of February, which is just around the corner, it's scheduled to be over 60 degrees here in southern Oklahoma. I'm going fishing. Can I tell you, I'm going fishing. But I will be in some places. The very 1st of February, I won't be able to go fishing. The 1st and 2nd, I will be in Caruthersville, Missouri at the Wrigley Jig Show. I'll be there for High Tech, which is the people that make the Jimmy Houston Blaze Series rods, as well as a lot of crappie poles, a lot of ice fishing equipment. We'll be there on a Thursday evening and a Friday morning. We'll be then going to Knoxville. We'll be at a big men's conference there. I think that is First Baptist Church. I'm not exactly positive, but a big men's conference on Friday and Saturday. We'll be there Saturday morning during the second day of that conference. The conference is Friday and Saturday, so that's where we'll be the first 2 or 3 days of February, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to going to Knoxville and meeting with the men there and speaking there on a Saturday morning. Looking forward to listening to the other speakers that speak. These men's conferences I just love. There'll be great music. It'll just be an awful great conference. The deal there at Caruthersville Wrigley Jigs is just the most amazing show that I've ever seen. That's just all crappie tackle. It's all crappie tackle, and I'll be there with our high-tech crappie poles and all that kind of stuff, and Jimmy Houston crappie poles, and so you'll be able to pick up some of that there. The other thing I wanted to mention was we do have a deal going at jimmyhouston.com right now If you buy $50 worth of stuff, we're going to give you a free pair of Jimmy Houston sunglasses. Sunglasses like I got on right here, black and blue ones, and the Solar Rat sunglasses. $50 before taxes and shipping. We'll give you a free pair of Jimmy Houston sunglasses. So if you buy some, it doesn't take many lures these days to add up to $50. 8 or 10 lures to get you there. And of course, any rod and reel to just about get you there. Rod combos or spinning rod combos, casting rod combos, casting rods, whatever. So T-shirts, books, everything counts on that. A $50 purchase, as long as they last. We made a special purchase on a bunch of these just to give away. That's exactly what we got them for. So you'll be able to get that. The other thing I want to mention real quick here is that we're not too far away. We're already down to the last 10 days of the month. Remember, guys and girls, we're only less than 40 days away till March. We're talking about February 1st, 2nd, 3rd being in the 60s. We'll have a lot of days in March in the 60s, some days in the 70s here in southern Oklahoma. And I know where some of y'all might live up north. February and March still not springtime, but it is springtime here in southern Oklahoma. And we look forward to March 1. In fact, February 15th. From February 15th on, usually starts getting a little bit better. But we're getting close to the first of the month. We send out our Jimmy Houston Outdoors newsletter, and I haven't talked about it on social media in quite a while. We got 10 or 11 or 12,000 people receiving that newsletter right now. All we need is your email address. Don't even need your name, just your email address. We do not give these email addresses away. We do not sell them. So we keep them private. And we will email you our Jimmy Houston Outdoors newsletter on the 1st of every month. So February 1 will be the next one we're coming out. We've been doing this now for almost 2 years. It's an outstanding newsletter. I mean, it's really great. It's got a lot of super information in there, and there's some super deals in there, some extra discounts you can get doing various things around with some of our fantastic sponsors that we have in Jimmy Houston Outdoors. And all you got to do is just go to jimmyhouston.com, and there's a place in there where you can give us your email address. We'll put you on that list, and you'll get the Jimmy Houston Outdoors newsletter on the 1st of every single month. And those are a few things I wanted to mention. I'll be talking to you a little bit more about some of the appearances we're having. We're in quite a few different places in February, and so we'll be opening a new Bass Pro Shop store. I think that's in February up in Ohio, in the Cincinnati area. Roland Martin and I will both be there, as well as Johnny Morris and a lot of other really neat people that you want to meet, and it's going to be an incredibly beautiful store. We're opening several stores this year, so we'll be talking to you about each one of them as we get a little bit closer to it. So you want to plan on being there at that grand opening. It's an experience that you will talk about for the rest of your life, so I promise you. It's a great experience, and I've been at almost every Bass Pro Shop store that's opened up in the country, all but 2 or 3 or 4 of them that I missed because of schedule conflicts. But I see those opens, and we just have a ball. We meet with you, shake hands, and visit with you, take pictures, sign autographs, whatever you want. Plus, they raise a huge amount of money for conservation, and that conservation money is brought right back to the area where that Bass Pro Shop store is. So it's incredible. It's called the Evening of Conservation, what that's called. And we'll be doing one in the Cincinnati area here sometime here pretty soon. I'll give you more information as we get a little bit closer to it. I think it's right about in the middle of February, though, something like that, around the 20th or something. That's on a Wednesday night, I believe. But anyway, so we'll be letting you know where we are and what we're doing. Fishing is difficult right now in a lot of places. It's fantastic in a lot of places. Those of you that live anywhere where they have heated fishing docks, it's a great thing to be doing right now. Or if you live around somewhere where you have friends that's got boat docks that are enclosed, that's a great thing to be doing right now. I want to tell you something. I'm almost ashamed to tell you this, but you know how truthful I am, so I'll throw rocks at myself sometimes, even if it. But you know, I went down on our pier here at Twin Eagle Lake. I went down on our pier, I don't know, 4th or 5th of January, and to try to catch the first bass or the first fish, whatever kind I caught, of 2024. And I had a spinnerbait. I took out a spinnerbait, and I took out a Lucky Strike football head jig, a red man spinnerbait. I thought, I want to catch one on a red man. And by the way, the red man spinnerbaits, they're selling like crazy. We can't hardly build them fast enough. They will be available in a lot of stores this coming year at Lucky Strike, but you can get those at jimmyhouston.com as well. But I made a slow rolling spinnerbait down, ticking the top of the grass with it, and the 4th cast I got a bite. 3 casts didn't get a bite. 4th cast I got a bite and caught a 5-pounder, which I thought was fantastic. I thought, wow, Jimmy, you made 4 casts in 2024 and you caught a 5-pounder. What a great year this is going to be. And I didn't make another cast, but I'd laid out a rod with a football head jig on it also. And so I thought, well, I'll throw this football head jig a little bit. And I threw it, I don't know, 10 or 15 casts, I don't know how much, but I threw it quite a bit more, and it was getting down the grass. It's kind of trouble to fish. But I finally, I was kind kind of just rolling that spinnerbait, kind of that jig, popping it up, letting it fall, and trying to keep it where it was just ticking that grass every now and then, a little bit like a spinnerbait, except not just slow rolling. And I got another bite and caught it, and it was a 4-pounder. Now, some of y'all might have seen those. We did a couple of videos. You can see them here on YouTube. And they're on Jimmy Houston Outdoors Fishing YouTube, not the Deer Channel, the Twin Eagle Ranch Channel, or the Catch a Better Life Channel. 3 channels on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to all 3 of them. But we got put a couple videos on there. The first fish of 2024, part 1, part 2. Part 1's a 5-pounder, part 2's a 4-pounder. But here's the deal. I've gone down there 4 or 5 times since. 4 or 5 times. What is this, Sunday the 21st? 4 or 5 times. I've not had a bite. Not a single bite. And not only that, I've thrown a crappie jig around there quite a bit too. Hadn't had a bite on a crappie jig. So it's pretty tough there. If this weather gets up in the 50s and it's not raining, I may in the next day or two get out there on the lake and see if I can find a fish or 2 down deep out there on the lake. But fishing is still good in places. I'm going to say this just like I've been telling people for years. There's a lot of people cutting holes in ice and fishing, and that's great. It's a lot of fun. But here's the best way to catch fish this time of the year. Get in your truck, drive south. Drive south, however far, 200, 300, 400, 500, 800, 1,000 miles until you see blue on your map. Go where that blue is and start fishing. Talked to my buddy Walt Reynolds in Florida yesterday. It was 75 degrees on Lake Okeechobee. 75 degrees on Lake Okeechobee. But fish can still be caught in the dead winter time. My buddy Steve Perkins put a picture up, and he said, oh, it's cold out here today, and he's holding up about a 7 or 8 pound bass that he had caught. And that was one of those days when it was in the teens for a high, So you can still catch fish even this time of the year. I want to end this video because it is brutal out here, and need to get back in out of this. I have got out of the wind fairly decently here. I'm up right against the house and with the wind blowing this way, so I have managed to get out of the wind quite a bit. But our preacher today, and many times I think about on our Sunday afternoon talk that we do, Sunday afternoon chat, talk about some of the things that our preacher, Chopper McCartney, preached about at Midway Hills Baptist Church. And today he preached about our time, how important it was to make sure that we used our day for God, and we talk to God every day, and we include God in everything we're doing every single day. He talked about using our talents, and we all have, and if you're a saved, born-again Christian, he's given you a gift. He calls that a talent. It's called a talent in the Bible, a gift. And it may not, but we think of talents as having a talent, being able to play a guitar or beat the drums or sing or do something like that, dunk a basketball. We think of those as talents, but talent is your gift, and the Bible tells it that those gifts may be encouragement, it may be love, it may be comforting, it may be preaching, it may be singing. You can have lots and lots of different types of gifts, but we need to be using those gifts for the glory of God, whatever they may be. Many people use those gifts to make a living out of. Preaching, as an example, is a gift. The preachers, and they make a living fishing, or preaching, fishing, being able to catch a lot of fish and fish successfully, that's a gift as well. But you need to be using your gift, whatever that might be. And if you're a saved, born-again Christian, God's given you a gift. Use that gift for the glory of God. Now, you might be making your living that way, but you still do it for the glory of God. And the third thing he talked about that we need to be doing to make our Christian walk with God a lot better is tithing. And tithing scares a lot of Christians to death because they don't believe in tithing. But he said one thing, tithing God made really, really simple. He made it so simple that even us rednecks can understand it, 10%. It's not like the government where you're paying whatever, 7.24% tax or this, that, and the other. We're having a big fight right here in Oklahoma right now, or they are in Oklahoma City. We're not having a fight around Oklahoma, but in a city between our governor Kevin Stitt, who we're going to fish with a little bit later this year, and you'll get to meet him. He's a great governor. But he's wanting to cut the state income tax. We have a state income tax here in Oklahoma. Many of y'all don't have. Like if you live in Texas, you don't have a state income tax. Live in Florida, a lot of the states you live in, you have no state income tax. We have a state income tax here in Oklahoma. I think it's 7%. He is wanting to cut this income tax by 1/4%. 1/4%. Now, that sounds like not anything, but it will give every single Oklahoman that makes an income a little bit of a pay raise. He'll get a little bit more in his check. And we've got people in Congress against him, Oklahoma Congress is in Oklahoma City, not the federal Congress in Washington, that are fighting tooth and nail to keep from doing that because, and we have like a $2 billion budget, surplus budget here. We got the monies in the bank just sitting there. It's our money that we've paid to them. And they're having that big argument right there. It beats anything I ever see. And how in the world somebody like Texas can get by without a state income tax? I don't know why we can't do it here in Oklahoma. So I'd be in favor of Kevin not cutting it 1/4%, but cutting the whole thing off. Or cutting 4%, not 1/4%, but take the 1 and the dash off and just cut 4% of our state income tax. And we could do it and thrive, just like we've done forever here in Oklahoma. But anyway, talk about tithing. Tithing, God requires that a Christian tithe 10% of their income. But that's easy to understand for a redneck. That's a dime on a dollar. That's $1 out of a $10 bill. You know, $2 out of a $20 bill. Real simple. If you make $1 million, it's a $100,000 tithe. You go, oh my gosh, a $100,000 tithe. We got 900,000 left. And God tells us if we tithe, that He will bless the other 90%. He will bless and multiply the other 90%. He tells us that over and over. In fact, He challenges us. And this wasn't a scripture that our preacher used this morning, but he tells us, he says, test me, try me out. Try tithing for a while and test me and see if I don't overflow your vats. And I guess he was talking about then vats of wine, vats of grapes and wine. So He will overflow. He'll give you so much you can't even, your vats are overflowing, they're running over. And your barns will not be able to hold all of what I will give you if you will tithe. Just test me in it. Try me. Well, there's been a lot of Christians tried God in that. I've never talked to a single one that exact thing didn't happen. Whatever God promises, God produces. That's just all there is to it. But the interesting thing that I just wanted to throw out here, and I could talk about tithing a lot. You know, it's very important and very easy to understand. It's simple, as rednecks can understand it. And God will bless a person that tithes. I mean, I just not ever heard anybody, you know, I've tithed all my life and I just have a hard time. I'm paycheck to paycheck. And of course, blessing is not always giving you your vats full and your barns full. Blessing could be having healthy kids. It could be having kids. A lot of people can't even have kids. It'd be living a long life. It'd be having a beautiful wife. It'd be raising a great family. Blessings come in many ways. Not just money, obviously. You're tithing money. And you're tithing your talent, you're tithing your tithe is also. But here's the deal. The word tithe comes from the word tenth. And that's why I guess when God, you know, told the people to give 10%, the word tithe comes from the word tenth. That's pretty interesting. I never heard that. I've been going to church all my life pretty much so far, and ever since I was can walk. I guess I carried the church way before I could walk. But the word tithe comes from tenth. So some of the people that say, well, tithing's not in the New Testament at all. And really and truly it's not. There's a few times where Jesus tells you that you need to give to God. And there's some other places in the Bible. But actually telling you that you need to tithe 10% is not in the New Testament that I've been able to read. It's in the Old Testament. But it comes from the word tenth. So a tenth, 10% of your income, the first 10% goes to God. And watch what He does with that last 90%. Pretty amazing. Guys and girls, I'm really not too cold out here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to talk longer, because I'm not. Be sure that you're subscribed to all of our YouTube channels. If you're on Facebook over there, thank you so much. We've got 660,000 people on Facebook, and I guess on all three channels together, 160 or 170,000 people on YouTube. But we love every one of you. We thank every one of you for being involved, and share this channel, particularly that Catch a Better Life channel, because that channel and what God will do in your life if you get involved in the Catch a Better Life channel on YouTube, 28,000 people on there, will absolutely change your life for the better. That's what God does. Nothing I do, nothing I say, it's what God does. And he'll make your life better. And you will have at least one scripture from the Word of God every single day. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one. Have a great week. It's going to warm up. We're less than 40 days away from March. And remember, I sure do love you.